Hey guys, I'm Sneha and you are watching my channel Book Junction. Welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about all the books that I got in my 99bookscard.com mystery box. You guys wanted me to talk about all the books that I loved from that box and the books that disappointed me. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my overall experience of that mystery box. So I'm really excited. But before that, I want to make a huge announcement, and it's quite a big deal for me, and it was quite a big decision. So I'm starting a new channel, and it's going to be a Hindi channel. So there are so many things that I want to share with you guys, and I know that those things are going to be valuable to you. There are so many skills that I want to share with you guys, and I know that they are going to help you, and I want to make more such videos. And don't worry, I will keep posting videos on this channel like I do. This is my main channel, but I want to start creating content in Hindi as well, because there is a large audience that wants to know so many things, but Hindi language is much more accessible to them. So in that Hindi channel, I'm going to share so many skill based videos. As you guys know that I have been doing freelancing for the last 2.5 years and more actually. So I have a lot of experience in that field as well. But apart from freelancing, there are so many other videos that I have planned for my Hindi channel, and I'm really excited for that. So if you are interested and if you think that it's going to be interesting, then definitely subscribe to my Hindi channel right now. The link will be given in the description box. I will post my first ever Hindi video really soon on that channel. Also, if you have any suggestions, video requests and recommendations for my Hindi channel, you can definitely drop them down in the comment section. I would love to know what are the videos that you are interested in watching on my Hindi channel. So let me know, and don't worry, I will keep posting my regular videos on this channel, but I just wanted to explore this different arena altogether, and it's making me very excited. So I really hope you guys are excited as well. So this was the announcement part. Now let's move on to the books that I want to talk about now. So I have kept all my 99bookscard.com books in this basket. If you have seen my organization video, then you would know what this basket is all about. So let's talk about all the books one by one. I'll try to talk as much about each book. I don't want to make this video like a 20 minutes video, but let's start with the first book that I picked when I received the box. So the first book that I picked was Stalked by Alison Hewitt. This was the book. So this was the first book that I picked from the box, and this is actually a real life story, and the author has actually went through this entire ordeal, and that made this book even more scary. Now, as the title of the book suggests, its name is Stalked because she was stalked by her ex-boyfriend. So the story of Alison Hewitt is like she dated this man named Al-Amin Dhalla, and initially everything was fine, everything was normal, they fell in love and all of that, although there were a lot of red flags that she ignored. And eventually she realized that her boyfriend, who was now her ex-boyfriend, was actually very obsessed, and he had some mental illnesses as well that made him stalk her and do very crazy things. And the entire book was so crazy, and the description was so vivid that it felt like my own friend was telling me her story, and it was so scary. This book was absolutely stunning. I had an amazing time reading it, and I think I learned a lot from this book as well, because there are so many red flags that we tend to ignore initially because we are just so smitten by our partners, but eventually those red flags become the reason that we fall out of love or things get really crazy. So this book definitely taught me a lot, and it was so scary. So this was the first book that I read. After that, I went for the book Career of Evil by Robert Galbraith. This is the book. In case you guys are not aware, Robert Galbraith is the pseudonym of J.K. Rowling. Now this is a Cormoran Strike novel. I've read the first 2 books in this series. I absolutely love Strike as a detective. He's very different from, you know, Sherlock and Poirot. So he's just a very different kind of detective, and he's very grounded. He's not very arrogant, and he, you know, he doesn't have that hero image. He's just very humble. So Strike has this assistant named Robin who I absolutely adore. I love her character, and one day at their office they get this mysterious parcel that has a severed leg, and from there the story begins. And Strike has some names in his mind that may have done it, and he's like really scared because there are so many secrets that will just emerge, and there are so many things that will emerge in eventually in the story, and we will get to know more about Strike. So if you have not read the Strike books, I think the first book is the best till now. I love that one. Now this is the 3rd book in the series, and I think the book is nice. I like the story, but it is so stretched. At times I felt like, oh my god, I can't read this book anymore. I was absolutely bored at times, but I continued reading this book because I have this fascination for the character of Strike and Robin. So overall I think I like this book, but I won't go for the 4th book in this series because it's just getting absolutely excruciatingly stretched. So yeah, this was the 2nd book that I picked, and I had a so-so experience. So next I read the book Keeping the Dead. This is the book, and oh my god, this has to be one of the best thrillers I have ever read. And trust me, I'm just so happy that I discovered this author. So this is the Rizzoli and Isles thriller. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. This is the spelling. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I know I pronounce half my shit wrong. So in this book we have Detective Rizzoli and we have the forensic pathologist Maura Isles, and these 2 people are on this case. Now in this case what happens is that there is this museum, and suddenly they discover like an ancient mummy, and the name of that mummy is Madam X. So fair, good enough, everything is good, but then they do the CT scan and they realize that the mummy is not really that old, and it's definitely has not come from Egypt, or it's not really a real mummy. And from there the story begins, and they then come across some other dead bodies and stuff as well. So the book is definitely very scary, and there are some really graphic details of violence and all of that. So the book is definitely very scary. I think if I have to give stars to this book, I will give it 5 out of 5 stars, because this was one of the best experiences I have had while reading a thriller. So definitely an amazing book. I think I'm definitely going to read more books by this author from this series. The next book that I picked up was The Girl in the Spider's Web. This is the book. Now if you're not aware of the Millennium series by Stieg Larsson, then do watch my Millennium series review. So there were 3 books in that series, and after the death of Stieg Larsson, there is this another author David who wrote this book, and he wrote 2 more books I think in this series. I'm not really aware entirely. So if you watch my Millennium series video, you will get to know my views about all the 3 books. But in a nutshell, I enjoyed the first one the most. The second one was nice, but by the third one I got a little tired and it just got too stressed. And yeah, I enjoyed all the 3 books, but I would say the first one was the best. So I never thought that I will go for the next books in that series, but I got it in the mystery box. I actually enjoyed this book so much. I had no idea that I will enjoy it, and I think that this author has done an amazing job. I mean, I love the Stieg Larsson books. I mean, it is his original story, but this author has done a good job as well. I feel like this author has a much more I won't say refined, but a much more easier approach to the story. I think I prefer David over Stieg Larsson. I mean, this sounds so weird because the original author should be given his credit for creating characters like Salander and Blomqvist. I think the best part about this book is that it doesn't feel as stretched as the other books in the series, especially the third one. And this author has a better way of approaching things. He makes it easier for the reader and he makes it more approachable. So if you have read the Millennium series and if you have read all the 3 books, and if you're wondering whether you should invest in this book or not, I feel like you should definitely go for this book. I personally enjoyed it a lot. Alright, so now let's move on to the best book from the box. This book is the star of this box. It's the hero, and it is by far the best thriller I have ever read in my life. And when I say best, I'm not exaggerating even a bit. This is definitely, easily the best thriller I have ever read, and I recommend it so much that just read this book if you ever get it from anywhere, because I checked on Amazon and it's not there. Anyway, the book is No Time for Goodbye by Linwood Barclay, and this is the book. I got another book by this author from Used Books Factory in the recent box that I got. I actually recommended this book recently in one of my recommendation videos as well. So I've talked about this book in that video, but to tell you in a nutshell, this book is about Cynthia, and one day she wakes up and her parents cannot be found. Her brother is missing. All the 3 people from her family, they are missing, and she is alone, and no one knows what happened with her family. Like, did they die? Were they murdered? Were they in an accident? She doesn't know anything. Her family just completely wipes away, and she has no idea where they went. And after 25 years, now she's married to a man and she's really happy. She has a daughter and she's living a good life, but the trauma of losing her family all of a sudden like that has stayed till now, and she's still looking for answers. And while she's looking for the answers, everything gets really messed up and scary, and so many things happen, and it's just such a roller coaster ride. And as the book continues, it just gets crazier and crazier, and there is also a psychological element to it. So overall, I feel like this book is definitely one of the best thrillers ever. The writing is so smooth, so flowy, and just so easy. So I feel like if you are a beginner also, you can definitely go for this book, and I love it. The climax was so good. So yeah, I think every element of this book is absolutely perfect. I don't know why this book is so underrated. Why do people not know about this book? Because this book is definitely an amazing book. Alright, now let's talk about a book that disappointed me in ways that I cannot even begin describing. So the book is Disclaimer by Renee Knight. This is the book. It's quite a pretty book, honestly, but this book disappointed me in ways I cannot even start to tell you guys. So when I started reading this book, I was like, okay, nice, a lot of suspense, there's a lot to know, and this has like a build up. And then I was halfway through the book and there was still this build up going on. She's still talking about the secret, the big secret, this, that, and it felt like I was reading a Hindi serial. Trust me, this book has the greatest anticlimactic end ever. I mean, when this book ends, I'm like, what did I just read? What the hell was this? So the story is that one day Catherine finds this book on her bedside table. So she has shifted homes recently and she finds this book on her bedside table and she starts reading it, and as she is reading the book, she realizes that the story is very similar to her story. She realizes that the protagonist of the book is actually her. I mean, she is the protagonist of the book because the story is her story. And then the build up begins, the secret, that, blah blah blah, and by the end I was like, oh my god, just tell me what happens. Although I had already somewhat predicted it, and when that happened, I was like, my goodness, did I actually spend my day to know this? But yeah, I did. The thing about this book is that the writing is very captivating. I would say that the author is actually very skilled at that, but I wish that the author also had the talent of writing a story, like an actual story. So out of all the books in this box, I feel like I was most disappointed by this one. This was the worst book from this box, and yeah, that's all. The next book that I picked was Hidden Killers, and this is the book. So I definitely enjoyed this book. This is again a crime thriller, and What I really enjoyed about this book was there were like a lot of twists. Usually there are one or two twists, but this book was like a roller coaster and there was so much happening. I did enjoy this book, but at times I felt like the twists were definitely getting a little too much. I just wanted the story to continue without one twist at least. So overall I did enjoy this, but not as much as the other books. So I would say that this was above average but not great. The next book is Take a Look at Me Now by Anita Notaro. This is the book, and so again this book was nice. I enjoyed it, but halfway through this book I was kind of bored. I mean, I liked the book, but I don't know, it was, first of all, it's like really big, and the concept, the plot of the book is more about on the emotional side, and when a book is about emotions and all of that, the writing has to be very exquisite and beautiful for the reader to stay till the end. But I feel like the writing was very normal, and for a beginner it will be good, but when it comes to a story that does not have a lot of twists and all of that, I think in such situations the writing has to be beautiful for the book to stand out. The next book definitely took me by surprise. The book is The Narrow Road to the Deep North, and this is the book. Now I have to accept that this book has to be one of the most unique books that I have ever read in my life, and it had all these different elements, but mainly this book is about love, and the way it expresses love is so different and so profound, and I loved the writing. The writing is so mature. I don't think I've read another book with such a mature writing, and there's just so much wisdom in this book as well. So overall I did like this book. I'm not going in detail because my camera's memory card is almost out. I don't have much time left, but anyway, let's move on to the next book, and the book is Caravans and Wedding Bands. This is the book. So this is definitely one of those rare books where the cover of the book actually resonates with the story itself. So when I was reading the book, and you know, the scenery, the landscape in this book is so vivid. I mean, the description, the way it's written, you will be transported to that place itself, and it's just so beautiful, and the story is very nice as well. Definitely a bit slow and boring at times, but overall it was a nice experience to read this book. I did enjoy it. I won't say that it was a masterpiece, but I feel like it was good. It was good enough. Next book is Raising Wrecker, and this is the book. Now trust me, I had absolutely zero expectations from this book. I read the blurb on the back side of the cover, but it just didn't excite me at all. I didn't feel like I have to read this book, and I just didn't expect anything, and I randomly picked it. But when I started reading it, and as the story continued, I was like, oh my god, this has to be one of the most kindest books I have ever read. So this book is a lot about love and acts of kindness. So the story is very kind, and it will fill your heart with a lot of love. It's definitely a good book. I did enjoy it. If I have to give it stars, I would give it around 3.5 stars. Alright, so now let's talk about the 3 books that I haven't read from this box yet. But before that, I want to tell you that I'm not including the book 50 Shades of Grey that I got in this box. Even though I was supposed to get 15 books, I got 16 books. I don't know how. I'm not including that book in this video because I did not read it, and I have no plans of reading that book as well. I just don't like the idea of that book in general. So the last 3 books from this box that I didn't read are Blackpool High Flyer, this one, then next one is 6 Favorite Mates. This has 6 short stories, and I feel like it's going to be interesting. However, I haven't picked it yet, so I will definitely let you guys know maybe. And this is the last one that I haven't read yet. The book is Under the Apple Tree. So of course I will definitely come to these books, but I was reading so many books one after the other that I lost my will to read any more books, and by that time I also ordered some YA books for myself and I started reading them. So these 3 books are still yet to be read, so I will definitely come to these books by some time, I hope soon. So yeah, that was all for today's video. I talked about all the books that I've read from this box with you guys as honestly as I could. I always share my honest opinions. Even if a book is well loved and I don't like it, I always share my honest experience. So definitely let me know all the videos that you want to see on that channel as well. And I have so many things planned for that channel and I cannot wait to execute them. So definitely support me there as well. Alright, so that was all for today's video. I really hope that you all enjoyed it and found it valuable. If you did, then definitely like, share and subscribe to my channel. It will mean a lot to me. Hit the bell icon so you are notified with all the further updates, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, bye bye.